Assalamu alaikum. I am grateful to the International Council of Indian Muslims for making this important conversation possible. I hope conversations such as this one would make way for a more organized struggle for justice and peace all over the world. As you all very well know that India has been making news internationally for all the wrong reasons. India's treatment to its minorities, especially the Muslim community, merits serious international concern, acknowledgement and immediate action. Hundreds of Muslims, including dozens of my friends, are behind bars since years on fabricated charges simply because they were part of a peaceful protest, or simply for criticizing the policies of this government. A year ago, my father, Janab Javed Muhammad, was arbitrarily and illegally detained, and 2 days later, my home was demolished in broad daylight by Uttar Pradesh administration. The day my own home was demolished is the day this attack felt more than personal. The bulldozer which came to my home stood like a grotesque monster ready to devour, has left a scar on our family's very being. They say houses are just bricks and cement, but homes are made of memories. So what do you do when you see those memories in shambles under its own rubble? The attack by the fascist regime on our home was an attack directly on the psyche of Indian Muslims. My father, who worked as a human rights activist for the city, was abruptly taken into police custody. My sister and my mother were humiliated by the same police and were kept in detention for more than 36 hours. We were forced out of our home and slapped a backdated notice, thus illegally initiating the demolition of my home. Overnight, my home, which stood in the much-known neighborhood along with other homes, became illegal. As I sat with my family watching the demolition of my home, I felt like my own flesh and bones were being eaten slowly by the monstrous state. Our crime is simple, being Muslims. Our identity is a criminal act, not even worthy of a trial. The fascist regime picks up any random Muslim and brutally dehumanizes them, which further serves as a reminder to other Muslims that we are not safe. Under the fascist regime, India is an open-air prison for Muslims. Our existence is engulfed by the fear and worry of who is next. Already living in ghettos, Muslims in India are hardly in an ideal situation. However, the regime's motive is clear: dehumanize, humiliate, and annihilate. The scenes of demolished homes in North Delhi's Jahangirpuri neighborhood bring to the forefront the systemic oppression faced by Indian Muslims. Government-owned bulldozers were sent in to destroy homes and shops deemed illegal encroachments. These demolitions, justified under the guise of communal clashes and subsequent violence, reek of brutality and intimidation. Madhya Pradesh's current Home Minister, Narendra Mishra, after the Khargon violence last year, went on record saying the houses of stone pelters would be reduced to a rubble. He made the statement at a time when the police investigation had only begun. There was no way for him to know how the investigation would conclude. But for Nathuram Mishra, much similar to Yogi Adityanath in UP or Himant Biswa Sharma in Assam, and thousands of other Hindutva icons sitting at constitutional positions or not, Muslims are criminals by default and deserve unparalleled punishment. News and fact-finding reports by journalists and activists alike revealed that the violence in Khargon was an organized attack against the Muslims by Hindu mob. Nonetheless, dozens of Muslim-owned properties were demolished as Home Minister Mishra had promised. Several scholars have pointed out the similarity between the Hindutva fascist playbook and the Israelis' policy of punitive demolition in Palestine, where homes and businesses are systemically destroyed as a form of collective punishment. Both India and Israel employ a similar justification, conveniently overlooking discriminatory practices that hinder the minority community's ability to obtain necessary permits before the demolition and justice after the demolition. Incidents of demolitions in Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Assam, among others, have a similar modus operandi. where government bulldozers are deployed to reduce homes and businesses to a rubble, and underscores the deeply entrenched discrimination faced by Indian Muslims. These demolitions carried out by state authorities are a blatant violation of human rights and a stark display of power dynamics at play. By branding these structures as illegal encroachments or constructions, the government conveniently sidesteps the underlying issues of discrimination, limited access to permits, and the absence of adequate housing options for marginalized communities. The demolitions in India and Palestine share a common thread: the deliberate targeting of minority communities and the instrumentalization of state power to perpetuate oppression. These actions not only destroy homes and livelihoods but also deepen the sense of insecurity and marginalization experienced by these communities. The parallels between India and Israel in their usage of bulldozers as a tool of oppression highlights the urgent need for international scrutiny and solidarity in challenging these discriminatory practices. The demolition of homes goes beyond the physical destruction. It is a deliberate act of humiliation. The theatrical nature of these demolitions, witnessed in both countries, adds another layer of psychological trauma and dehumanization. Israel's policy of punitive demolitions meant to collectively punish relatives and associates of accused individuals, and India's use of demolitions to intimidate Muslim activists and descendants are stark examples of this tactic. The bluntness in the official framing of these actions, coupled with the superficial pretense of legality, reveals the authorities' intent to maintain control and suppress dissent. Unsurprisingly, both countries are governed by far-right regimes sharing a vision of an ethnic majoritarian state. Hindutva, the ideological foundation of India's ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, and Zionism, the guiding principle of Israel, are fundamentally ethno-nationalist ideologies. They seek to establish and perpetuate majoritarian states, colonizing, occupying, marginalizing, and oppressing minority communities in the process. This shared vision has fostered a close relationship between the two countries, evident in security collaborations and arms trade. This partnership is rooted in shared ideologies and aspirations for an ethno-nationalist state. Hindutva's vision of a Hindu Rashtra or on the Indian subcontinent aligns with Zionism's objective of a Jewish state in the historic Palestine. While Israel has succeeded in establishing its state, India remains a nominally secular liberal democracy. However, the rise of Hindu nationalism and the hijacking of Indian states' institutions by far-right forces pose a grave threat to the secular fabric of the country. Both Hindutva and Zionism emphasize territorial maximalism and the visions of Akhand Bharat or Greater Israel, respectively. These ideologies seek to restore the past glory of their respective nations by marginalizing and excluding their minority communities. They portray the establishment of a majoritarian state as a means of national renewal after centuries of domination and oppression. The weaponization of victimhood claims, branding critics as anti-Semitic, or engaging in Hinduphobia further demonstrates the parallels between these ideologies. The oppression of Muslims in India demands our attention and action. The demolition, the attacks on businesses, the violations of places of worship are not isolated incidents. They are symptoms of a larger pattern of systemic discrimination. Recognizing the parallels between these oppressive practices, we can forge international solidarity, amplify marginalized voices, and work towards a more inclusive and just world. It is our moral responsibility to condemn the abuses faced by minorities, demand accountability for those responsible, and support grassroots movements advocating for the rights of marginalized communities. We must strive to create societies where every individual is treated with dignity, equality, respect, irrespective of their religious or ethnic background. Only through collective action can we challenge the status quo, dismantle oppressive systems, and pave way for a future where diversity is celebrated and human rights are protected. Nobody wants to be an activist, a revolutionary. It's a need. It's a direct result of oppression. The collective conscience of India is equally, if not more, responsible for these demolitions. Violence on Indian Muslims, or Muslims in general, is fetishized by the mainstream media and consumed by the Indian masses, be it the videos of Muslims being lynched, or demolished homes, police brutality on Muslim bodies. The videos get viral within seconds. These videos are consumed actively by the masses to satiate their fetish of seeing Muslims dehumanized. When the demolition of our home was live telecasted by the BJP-backed media houses, it was to show the true face of the fascist regime and to further humiliate our existence. The world built by sweat and blood of our parents. The world of our happiness was in rubbles, all in just a few hours. The battles we fight every day are no less tiring than the legal battles that we have to go through in courts. The recourse to justice is a lengthy and lonely battle where the process is the punishment. The goal of the regime is not just to leave us homeless, but to leave us without any safe space and to instill fear and insecurity. My lost home remains in the realm of memories now. Each little decoration, even the imperfections, seem dearer. But I know it rests in peace, just like other homes of Muslims in India and the demolished homes of Palestinians. We await with patience justice. Justice is inevitable. Thank you.